physical activity, problem solving, physical balance, and just bringing about a overall sense of joy through movement and engagement with the natural world. And we do this by prioritizing social emotional learning through the bike to use the bike as a tool to teach these things. And we have our Stoke values, which stands for stewardship, trust, ownership, kindness, and empathy, which if you're a member of the biking community, you also know that Stoke is a level of enthusiasm and excitement that we bring to everything that we do. So we use our Stoke values to encourage excitement, positivity, ownership, kindness, and empathy to make sure that we're not only building these competent kids in connected families, but also creating wonderful leaders for tomorrow, because we want to encourage students to get outside and make a difference in their own communities and in their own families. Now, over the last 20 years, we've seen about, thank you. There we go. Over the last 20 years, we've seen about a 50% reduction in students on bikes in the United States, which we believe is a state of emergency. As you all may know from your own childhood, there was nothing better than riding around your neighborhood, going to meet up with friends, seeing your community, and just being outside and active. Some of us till the street lights came on, some of us until there were cell phones and our parents could follow us around and track where we were and make sure we weren't doing anything that we weren't supposed to be doing. But it really was an incredible way to get outside and connect. And we have seen a tremendous reduction in these numbers. So we are on a mission to get 30 million kids on bikes by 2030. This has been our mission since we've been in existence, I believe since 2015, since our founder left his bicycle shop to create a children and family bicycle program in order to help support families of young children become excited young learners. Because we know that when you create a passion for something at this young age, it will become a lifelong legacy that you're creating. And although cycling is often thought of as a sport or a leisure activity, we know that it's also great for building community, and it's a wonderful mode of active transportation. What other sport do you have that is an active transportation? It's a community building exercise. It's a way to stay physically active. It's just an incredible opportunity to get outside and get active. And I was not a cyclist before starting in this position and started working with Pedal Kids USA, but I have seriously seen the impact of cycling on my life and all the children that I've had the pleasure of working with it in my tenure here. Now, we know that students are facing a variety of physical health concerns, mental health and independence, environmental impact concerns, social and community engagement concerns, and infrastructure and safety concerns. Now, we know that this happens particularly in communities where outdoor education and physical activity is not prioritized. And we use cycling as our biggest indicator of this, because we know that in contrast, communities that promote cycling for children often see benefits like safer streets, healthier kids, and more engaged neighborhoods. And I say that as someone who is currently living in Bentonville, Arkansas, which is the self-proclaimed mountain biking capital of the world. And we have a wonderful coalition called the Bentonville Moves Coalition here that really is working to prioritize active transportation and green transportation all over our city. And we really have seen an increase in safer streets, healthier kids, and more engaged communities as we've prioritized this as a community. And we are so excited to be able to partner with organizations like you all and the Bentonville Moves Coalition to raise awareness about the wonderful possibilities that can happen when we promote cycling at this young age. So about us, you may have heard of us as Buddy Pegs previously. We recently changed our name earlier this year to Pedal Kids USA. We know that letting people know who we are and what we do from our name is really important. And so we changed our name in order to continue to create a national brand and identity so we can get more kids on bikes and engage with more grown-ups and parents as they are coming to learn who we are. So as I said, we are on a mission to double the number of kids riding bikes in the US to help save our home planet. And we do this by offering year-round bike programs for pre-K and elementary age students. Now, this includes after-school and weekend bike clubs where we take students on a skills and social emotional learning driven ride, whether that's on trails, on the Greenway. Sometimes we'll do some street riding so that way they can learn safe street riding and safe group riding. So we're not just teaching them how to have fun on their bike and then sending them off to fend for themselves on busy streets. We also do embedded school programs, which is my personal favorite program that I get to work with. We go directly to early childhood education centers and preschools and set up what we call the bicycle playground in their parking lot on their campus. And we teach balance bike classes, learn to pedal classes, and bike club, which is a class for students that are already pedaling, just helping them work on maintaining their correct speed, learning how to steer a little bit more advanced, and most importantly, working on those braking skills, because that's such an important skill as they become more confident and excited about riding their bikes. Now, in Kansas City, we are most known for our summer camps and our learn to pedal classes, but we also hold things like clinics. We do young student jump programs, mostly in Northwest Arkansas, where we teach our 9 to 11-year-olds how to jump on their bike. That is not my area of expertise. And in fact, it is always terrifying to see those students soar because tiny people on self-propelled moving objects can be a little bit scary sometimes, but they are just incredible riders. And honestly, I look up to the way they ride because they just have such a passion for it. We also have our Pedal Kids Race series. We actually concluded our 2024 session yesterday with our third and final race of the year, where we had about 150 students from 2 years old to 11 years old come out and have a super family friendly race and just get to experience a positive competition where we just all get to have some fun. And there was a lot of turkey noises being made because it was Thanksgiving themed this time around, which was super fun. And then we also have private lessons for students that need a little bit more one-on-one encouragement or teaching, or for students that have different needs that might not have the most success in a class setting. Now, through our program, since our inception in 2018, we've had over 10,000 students go through our programs across Northwest Arkansas and Kansas City. We've trained over 200 coaches, and we exist in 2.5 communities, technically. We are in Arkansas, Kansas City, and then we also have a traveling program that we are piloting right now to go to different communities for when we can't come bring our whole staff and our whole summer camp and everything we do. We want to just be able to provide a snippet of what we do to create an impact in whatever way we can. And the way that we're working to create impact is by creating actionable steps for communities. And that's where I want to focus the bulk of my conversation with you all today. Now, the number one thing that we have to do is learn parents' desires, because we know that we can't accomplish anything without getting parents on board first. So I don't want you to just take it from me. I want you to hear from one of our parents. She has 2 kiddos. I believe that they are 7 and 11. And prior to coming into contact with Pedal Kids USA, they knew how to ride their bike, but they didn't have bikes that fit them. So they weren't really comfortable riding. They weren't excited to ride. And they were experiencing some familial difficulties. There was some a little bit of chaos in their home life, and I want you to hear from their mom, Liz, just how bikes have impacted their family time. And this is a conversation with our founder, Scott Fitzgerald, on the left, who you'll see here.
But once we started biking, one thing I loved about it is I could disconnect when I'm on a bike because I don't have my phone in my hands. But also the kids, they didn't feel the need to be drawn to a screen, and conversation flowed. We got a lot closer. The time that we spend together is absolutely amazing. They're much more confident, definitely more confident. My confidence too. It's gotten all of us to step outside the box and try new things. Everyone is so kind and open. It's also a way for us to cope with different things in our life in a healthy way. So to me, it's an investment in the kids' future, my future, the future of our town. I mean, everything. So it's a no-brainer for me. Never thought we would be at this point. It's life-changing. It's amazing. It is literally the best investment we have ever made. Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, this is, as you might think, is like a 1 in a million parent testimonial that we had the opportunity to speak with Liz, but this is the bulk of our parents. We know that if we can get their kids riding, it gets their families riding. And it's the coolest thing that we get to be a part of, is seeing these families who are disengaged, struggling with screen time, struggling with getting all of their kids, I call them the wiggles, getting all the wiggles out during the day so they can have restful sleep and be engaged during their schooling and learning opportunities. we hear this so often, and it is such a pleasure to be able to talk to parents like this about how being outdoors and engaging as a family has been life-changing for them and is an investment in the future. Now, another way that we help to create actionable steps for communities is by helping to train your teams or help train community members. And we try to take all of the knowledge that we have learned in teaching new students how to ride and trying to create lifelong learners, just different tips and tricks for how to create more excited students on bikes. And the number one tip that we have for teams, especially in early childhood education, is that we have to teach students to learn to ride with balance first. Many of you may have used training wheels either for your own learning or for teaching your own children how to learn how to ride bikes. But we know that learning on a balance bike, which is not something that I had previously heard of prior to beginning in this position, just to say fair warning, it's not something that's widely known about, but it really does work to build that crucial core strength that is going to carry forward with them as they learn to pedal and just as they build motor skills and develop their bodies as they're growing. So this is like the number one tip that we like to leave communities with is, as you're trying to get more students on bike, help parents understand that learning to ride with balance first is crucial in creating that excitement. We call it eagle gliding when a student gets enough speed that they can lift up their feet and coast a little bit. And we use different animal movements to create excitement about it. But there is nothing more exciting about seeing a child blast down a ramp with their feet up, just giggling and smiling, and sometimes excited screaming as they go around our bicycle playground. It is truly just such a fun time. Now, the last thing that we like to do is host classes and events. We have 2 upcoming events in Kansas City. Fortunately, they're not until April, but we're going to be working with Johnson County Parks and Recreation to do an event, bicycle playground, I believe. And then I personally am partnering with Parents as Teachers and Shawnee Mission to do their April Safety Fair. We'll be hosting a bicycle playground for students to ride around, but more importantly, we'll be hosting a helmet and bike safety fit check to make sure that helmets are the correct size, make sure that they fit correctly, and teach parents how to ensure that their helmets are fitted properly, because we want to make sure that if we're getting more kids on bikes, we're getting them on bikes in a safe way. So we'll be in town in April, excited to share more information and just have a blast with your students. So we do parking lot events, learn to pedal classes, family rides, and we can help teach you how to do this. So many of you work with licensing organizations, so I'm not sure how we might be able to partner in this, but learning more about each other and learning how our programming might be able to support your endeavors in creating more healthy and active of our youngest students would be a wonderful opportunity from our point of view to make sure that we're able to support you all in the way that is most appropriate for you. We are also currently working on, as I said, building traveling programs. This is a case study of a 2-day learn to pedal mini camp that I was the coach for in Boulder, Colorado. We traveled up in our van with all of our equipment and we set up a bicycle playground directly in their parking lot. We had 9 students, and in 2 days, we got 9 students to learn to pedal. Normally, we say it takes us about 4 hours to teach someone. And all of these students were just so excited that we were able to do it really quickly and we had a blast. And again, I don't want you to just take my word for it. I want you to listen to the words of one of our parents, Jessica, who the big point of this video is what happens at the end. This is what we're in it for. This is what our organization is all about.
Yeah, I was on Facebook one day and came across this ad for Pedal Kids, and I thought, how am I going to get him to go? We have had, as I call it, years and tears with learning to ride a bike. And I went to him and I said, I realized that Mom has been a really bad teacher. So if you're okay with going, I would like to take you there. We got there and I purposely kind of hid off in the corner where he couldn't see me very well. Just watching him be so excited to get back to the beginning, back to the ramp. Within about an hour and a half, he was ready to earn a pedal. He was so excited to come back on day 2 and he's like, I'm getting my second pedal. I'm getting my second pedal.
Awesome.
From the minute we walked up to camp, she was like, "Hey guys, yeah." Her enthusiasm was just infectious. She was absolutely amazing with the kids. Yeah, it was just unbelievable how quickly she was able to teach him when we had spent, as I say, years and tears not getting there. Yeah.
Feel like you're taller? You get taller every day, love.
So as I said, that ending is truly the most important part of what we do. Joshua came to our 2-day camp, and we like to keep in contact with our students, make sure they're still getting engaged and staying on their bikes. And since then, this was in June, Joshua has been riding his bike to school every day and encouraging his mom to ride her bike as well, because she's got to keep up with him. So she's been riding behind him on his way to school. And we've seen this at our youngest ages. I've seen some of our 3-year-old students ride 2 miles to their preschool or their early childhood education center with their grown-ups, just because they want to get on their bike and have fun, because they know bike class is happening, or they're just excited to be outside and start the day with a quick bike ride on the way to school. So as I mentioned before, we want to take students from never ever to shredder, whatever shredder means to them, whether that's, doing those jumps or whether that's just riding to school, whatever that means to them. We start with our balance bike classes at 18 months old. Then we take students into our learn to pedal classes, then our bike club classes. From there, once you reach 5 years old, you're eligible to be in one of our camps. And these are the camps that we do all across Kansas City, KCMO, and KCK. And we'll do learn to pedal camps, pedal like a champ camps, which is every level of rider, including learn to pedal and those that are jumping. And then our mountain bike specific camp to teach students how to safely traverse trails and be good stewards of our trails. Because as I've seen with particularly Shawnee Mission Park, I know that they are doing a ton of work right now to build up the trail system. And we want to make sure that as we're building new riders, we're also building people that are interested in taking care of the trails and being good stewards of them. So we're not just one and done creating riders. As I said, we do this through what we call the bicycle playground. And this is an incredibly easy setup to bring to preschools, gyms, parks, any organization that's interested in prioritizing youth health and education. This is a super easy and exciting way to just build excitement about outdoor fitness. So we set up cones and ropes to create a never-ending loop of riding, and it really is like a playground where students just go, and we have to sometimes drag them off of the bicycle playground because they don't want to leave. And not only are they having an incredible time, they're working on building that core strength. They're learning how much fun it can be to have fun outside and be with friends and build community while they're doing all of those things. I'll make sure you have access to this information as well, but I would love to hear from you if you have any questions for us or any way that we might be able to support you all in your endeavors in creating healthier students in Kansas City. All right,
Nikki, I do have a question. I'm sorry. It's Monday. I didn't raise my hand. Oh, I did raise my hand. Huh, now I have to lower it. Okay. I work statewide and I'm based in Wichita. And I'm wondering, is Pedal Kids interested in expanding beyond the Kansas City area?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. We have a Bike Walk Wichita that I'm going to connect with the director there. And then I'm wondering about the YMCA. Also, we have a large center here in Wichita that serves children with vision concerns, low vision. Do you also work with children of different abilities?
We do. We're currently working on making sure that we are able to provide our coaches with adequate training to support these students. So we've worked with students that are nonverbal and on the spectrum, and that is kind of the extent of our training right now, but we are looking for more opportunities to be supportive. And that's an opportunity where we can learn and grow together, where we might not come in with 100% of the knowledge needed to completely support them, but we love partnering with parents and grownups that can help teach us how to adequately and particularly support their kiddos.
Okay. I might, if it's okay with you, just send your email address to the director there and see if you can, because they have typically developing children, and then again, those children with some vision needs. So I think that would be a really cool collaboration with that. So, all right.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mickey, I know it would depend on exactly what's being brought, but as far as cost, what typically are you looking at for cost to bring programming?
Absolutely. So for our early childhood education programs where we go directly to preschools, normally it's a $17 per class cost for 12 weeks, which works out to be about $205 for the whole session. And that's 2 coaches coming to the school once a week for about 30 to 45 minutes of classes for no more than 12 students at a time. We have a pretty strict 6-to-1 coach ratio. So we bring students out in 30 to 45-minute blocks, depending on their age and developmental needs, to make sure we're not overstimulating them or we're gonna get them bored. But when we come in for like a Parks and Recreation or a corporate sponsored bike rodeo or Ditch the Training Wheels, which is our 2-day bike camp or week-long bike camp, we ask for $5,000 to do 36 students. And you are able to charge anything that you'd like for that. So it works out to about $136 per student. But we don't put any caps on charges or things like that. You all are able to set those standards for yourself if you want to give it as a free programming to these students, or if it's a way that you want to bring in more families to the community of physical activity.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I just said thank you.
Oh,
Do you also receive grant funding to underwrite some of the costs for?
we currently do not, but we can work with organizations that are looking to present us as a presenter to help them find grants that they might be able to apply for. We're still a pretty small team, so we don't have the capacity right now to be able to do that funding ourselves. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate your attention and your questions. I'm really excited to see more of how Pedal Kids can help support these initiatives and how we can become a bigger part of helping to make Kansas City healthier.
Thank you, Mickey.
Mickey, sorry, I got thinking about something. Are you guys involved with any advocacy work for biking within your community? I'm assuming you are.
Yes, so
Could
we
you share about
partner.
those? Yeah.
Yeah, we partner with a few different organizations. We work with, right now we're heavily partnered with an organization called Pedal It Forward, which is an organization that gives away gently used or refurbished bikes to individuals and particularly kids that need access to bikes. So we are having our 10-year anniversary party on December 6th, which is 10 years since our founder published B is for Bicycles, a book that was meant to encourage biking in young families and give parents a book that they could point to build that excitement. But we're doing a bike drive for them so they can give away 250 bikes for Christmas. And we work alongside them at these bike drives to teach the kids that are getting the bikes how to pedal. So we'll hold bicycle playgrounds alongside them to support their learning. And then we also work with a variety of different advocacy groups around Bentonville. So we work with Latinas in BC to encourage more Latinx participation on bikes, and then Bike POC, which is an organization that also works to get different people on bikes and all bodies on bikes, people for bikes. We work with Bentonville Moves Coalition, a ton of different nonprofits around town to help support them by providing either equipment, encouragement, however, our coaching, training, or some of our coaches for their events. And then we also work with Trailblazers, which is our largest local nonprofit that works on trail development, trail maintenance. We work with them to provide adult first ride programs as well to make sure that we're helping grownups get on bikes. And then we've also been working to become a bigger partner with the Boys and Girls Club. That's one organization that we would love to become a bigger partner with and help with, because we want to be able to take this national and work with all these different organizations to get more kids on bikes across the country. but that's still an organization that we're working to unlock what that partnership might look like.
Do you have a contact at the Kansas City Boys and Girls Club office? We might have a
I-
few if you don't.
I do not. That would be wonderful if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
The other thing I wrote down that you sometimes help train organizations so that they could do that themselves.
Mhm.
I was thinking about that, like just as far, we have like very small grants within the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan. I didn't know if that would be maybe a potential implementation project for us, is to fund like someone in Kansas City to get trained.
Yeah,
for-
absolutely. And we could even, it could be more of like a workshop series too, where we teach you, what it looks like to coach students on bikes, what setting up the playground equipment would look like. And then we also have a package where it's like a train the trainer package where we'll also include some of our playground equipment. The ramps that you've seen in our videos, the small red ramps, those are ramps that we have built and designed ourselves to be flat pack. They come apart like a puzzle and can fit in coach's car. So it's not an overwhelming amount of equipment, but we can help support team members, community members, whoever you'd like. And we can absolutely talk about how best to support your community by training either parents, coaches, PE teachers, whoever you think would be most benefited by this. Absolutely. Sandra, those toddlers are the most fun that I ever have working with. We have such a fun time working with them, and some of the wildest things that I've ever had to say to a student come out with the toddlers. So it is so fun to be kept on your toes in that way.
Are they just learning balance and kind of walking along, walking with the bike, or?
That's a great question. So it'll depend on how comfortable they are moving quickly. Some of our more timid and shy students are just kind of working on just being like holding their bike. But for our students that are a little bit more or a little less risk averse, we'll see them zooming around and they have to work on sitting down on their bike the whole time, making sure that they're working on using their feet to brake. Steering is a big concern as well. And we do that from at least 18 months to 3 years old. And then at 3 years old, we can start teaching students how to pedal. But it's never the goal of this class is to learn to pedal. The goal of the class is to have fun and get kids' excitement on their bikes raised. If they learn to pedal by the end, that is awesome. We're so excited. But we never want to create a situation where the student has become discouraged by our class because we are trying to get them to do something that they are not interested in doing, are scared of doing, or just not ready for. Developmentally, we just want to meet the student where they're at and make sure that we are approaching it in a playful, interactive, and fun way that's supportive, but not like domineering.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you.
What would you say has been like a barrier? I think I got introduced to you maybe 2 years ago, like getting into these settings here in Kansas City.
I think there have been myriad reasons so far, but the first reason has been just our headquarter location. Since we're still such a small team, it's been difficult to be able to create a team that is a satellite team that carries forward our mission, vision, and values in the way that we are looking to maintain and creating a level of quality control that we want to see. Now, we've had a lot of success in the last year building an incredible team that is ready to hit the ground running and support our programming preferences and our quality control as we move forward. But I think until recently, it's been a little bit of a question of how can we bring this incredible program to a new place and make sure that it's accomplishing the same things that it is in our headquarters location. So we're finally getting to the point where we really have an understanding of what that looks like, what that means, and how to support our team members at this distance. And we have an incredible team on the ground now that we can call them into action immediately, and they are incredible ambassadors and coaches. So that's been our number one barrier, but we are pretty quickly overcoming it, which is really exciting. And I'm super excited to see what the future holds now.
Okay, thanks, Mickey, unless anyone else has any questions.
Thank you again for having me.
Hey, Mickey, you're more than welcome to hang around, or if you have to move about your day, we understand that too, but I just have a few more updates in our meeting for the group. Okay. Um,
Natalie, I'm glad you brought up that question or thought about, if we have an opportunity for another mini grant, that this might be something that we can,
yeah, I'm assuming that cost would be the biggest thing for these centers to bring it to them.
yes.
But maybe if we could offer some sort of training that might help to share that cost. I wanted to remind you all to register for our December quarterly meeting. Our presenter is going to be an expert with an early childhood background. Which we haven't had at one of our quarterly meetings before, so we're excited to have her. We're going to be in person at the Kauffman Foundation Conference Center, but there is a virtual option for people that aren't in the Kansas City area or aren't able to make it that day. She's also pretty new to the Kansas City area, but she's got a background with Go Knapsack. She's helped write guidelines for early childhood for the state of Louisiana. She's looking for research partners now that she's moved to Kansas City, early to do more research within the early care settings. We had a meeting with her with Parks and Rec in Johnson County, actually. They're really good partners and open to share their programming and data with us. She's just really impressive researcher, so I would encourage you to attend if you could. And then our December meeting is the third Monday, which is going to be the 16th. I wanted to check with this group if we wanted to take December off for the holidays or if that time still works for people. Because I know people's schedules get full at the end of the year.
Works for me. I'm still working that week. It's the
I
next
will be
week.
off that day, so I will not be able to attend, but go forth and do great things without me. It's fine.
Maybe we can determine if there's anything we need to have a conversation about, and if there's nothing on the agenda that we really need to discuss, maybe we just take that day off, take the month off. I'd
Yeah,
like to take the month off from everything.
I think that's fine. I mean, we had a pretty big year with our events, and going into the next year, we probably need to refocus and think on what we're going to focus on next year.
I think one thing that we probably going into the new year do need to focus and think on is how to get more than the 6 of us here. So I don't know what the answer is on that. I know that Rhonda's schedule is pretty limited and everything, but if we're going to be doing anything big again, which we would hope to be doing, it's hard to do with such a limited group, even as amazing as all of us are.
Raise your hand, Chris.
No, I was just clicking around buttons, and I noticed my hand was up. But I was just going to mention, Lori, I know Kelly Cahill was hoping to be here, but there was end of the month or something with the food program that she was having issues. But I agree, and I know that we switched the date to Monday, and maybe it's just going to take a moment for people to realize that and get in the habit of it. Monday mornings are always a struggle, but you got to start the day at some point, so you might as well start it with a good conversation with partners.
Okay, well, I'll keep it open for now, and I'll talk to Rhonda and see if she'll be there, and then I can email everyone if we're going to keep going. But I would encourage you to register, I guess, if you can make it. Okay.